Bill to fund the government and avoid another shutdown is on the way to President Trump's desk this morning. We will tell you how he plans to get additional funding for a proposed border wall. And one lawmaker from Kentucky is not happy with the decision from the Tennessee Valley Authority to close 2 coal-fired power plants. Plus, more on a series of social media threats that led to the closing of one Eastern Kentucky school system on Valentine's Day.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:31 on Friday, February the 15th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News This Morning. Well, it's a warm one when you step out your door today. Unlike yesterday morning, you're not going to have to start your car early to defrost it. Let's bring Brandon in on this because we are in a severe weather alert day, but we said earlier, Brandon, that the reason why we're in a severe weather alert day is because we want to give people close to 24 hours notice before anything happens. What are we looking at this morning that'll be a stark contrast from what we'll see tomorrow morning?
Temperatures, for one thing. I tell you, it's really mild this morning compared to where it was this time yesterday morning, as you mentioned, but those temperatures are going to slide today as the cold front swings into the area. Let's take a look at the cameras, starting with McKee this morning, and we're looking over that Jackson County community there, and a little bit of wind, but not too much going on right now. Dry streets. Shouldn't be any problems with black ice this morning because we are in the 50s area wide. More on that in a second. Scaled the intensity or sensitivity rather back up a little bit there. It was a little bit low on the Doppler radar, so not as much moisture out there as we thought there was. So again, not a lot of action going on so far this morning. Scattered chances for rain through the first part of your day. Temperatures in the 50s except for Wise. They're at 46. That's the cool spot this morning. Almanac, 50 is our high today. We've already reached that. We'll start to slide as we head deeper into the daytime hours. 48's average, so not too bad there. Record of 73 set back in 2018. 1 year ago today was a record high. Forecast for this afternoon, we'll get down to about 46. Rain chances will start to pick up ahead of that cold front. And then overnight, that's what the severe weather alert day is for. The possibility for winter mix, some freezing rain or some sleet, maybe just regular rain for some. I'll talk more about that coming up here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon. Well, the much talked about government shutdown has been averted, but a new challenge is brewing in Washington. President Trump is planning to declare a national emergency today, arguing the situation at the southern border is a humanitarian crisis. Declaring a national emergency would give the president the authority to redirect funds from other projects without congressional approval.
Taking from far less important areas.
Now, Democrats are expected to challenge the order. Leaders did not specify how they will challenge the emergency declaration, but it is expected to be immediately contested in federal court. Now, our Gray Bureau reporters in Washington, D.C. caught up with West Virginia Congresswoman Shelley Capito after last night's vote. They asked her what she thought about President Trump's plan to declare a national emergency to fund the border wall.
So I support the president's call for a national emergency. I'm going to wait and see what powers he uses it under, but I support the concept of him declaring that emergency.
Now, Capito went on to say there is some concern among some of her fellow Republican lawmakers that the declaration would set a dangerous precedent, but says that is an issue to be left to the executive and judicial branches. Meanwhile, Senator Rand Paul says he is not happy with the Tennessee Valley Authority after the board of directors decided to close 2 coal-fired power plants. The Paradise Fossil plant in western Kentucky will cease operations by 2020. 131 plant workers will be out of work, while 135 miners are in jeopardy of losing their jobs. Senator Paul says he is, quote, deeply disappointed with TVA's decision to close Paradise Unit 3 and prolong the war on coal. The Bull Run plant in Tennessee will also close its doors in 2023. The Tennessee Valley Authority has shut down more than half of its 59 coal-fired power plants it once operated. This continues their trend of moving over to cheaper options such as natural gas and renewable energy. Now back to Kentucky. Senate Bill 150 legislation that would allow law-abiding people who are a certain age to carry a concealed firearm without a permit was introduced yesterday in Frankfort. WYMT's Justin Case talked with firearms instructors about why this new law should be in place, but also why training classes are critical for responsible gun owners.
You were not charged for freedom of religion or freedom of speech, so why are you charged for something the Second Amendment should protect? That's how Ron Thompson sees Senate Bill 150.
Same thing with freedom of religion, freedom of speech. This is going that step and giving it back to the people, saying, okay, this is something that you were granted originally. We've been, charging for it or withholding it. Here it is. This is having something back.
Law-abiding Kentuckians 21 and older are already allowed to open carry without a permit. Lawmakers who support the bill argue if your jacket or shirt covers your gun and you do not have a permit, you are now breaking the law.
It's kind of insane to think of that, a shirt falling over a firearm can give you some type of conviction and have you arrested. It's sort of insane.
Thompson says gun laws are different in every state, and trying to learn them all on your own can be difficult. That's why he thinks gun owners should still consider concealed carry classes, even if the bill passes.
The class is to inform what state law does allow. Say post office, for example, it might seem innocent. You can't walk into a post office with a firearm on you. A lot of people don't realize that.
And while many argue it's a right, Thompson adds it's something we can exercise safely and responsibly.
The concealed carry classes doesn't necessarily teach you the ability to shoot or anything like that, but it teaches you state laws, state guidelines, things you need to know and be aware of if you're going to carry a firearm to be a responsible gun owner.
Senate Bill 150 passed the Senate Thursday and now heads to the House for a vote.
Now, we added a web poll to our website earlier this afternoon asking if you think people should be allowed to carry a concealed firearm without a permit or the training that comes with it. At last check, the results were nearly split between yes and no. Well, safety experts here in Kentucky say the Parkland massacre, right on the heels of the school shooting in Marshall County, changed the conversation about school safety in the Commonwealth. John Akers is the executive director of the Kentucky Center for School Safety. He travels all over the state to work with school districts. He says the issues of safety is on the front burner for boards of education across the Commonwealth. He says as efforts continue, students are safer today than they were a year ago.
These are things that need to continue on. If we let them dry up and dry on the vine and fade away a year or 2 years later here, then it's going to come back again to haunt us.
Now, Akers points out that a true solution to the problem has to involve the entire community because kids spend more time outside of school. He says they need parents everywhere to be good role models, to get more involved with their kids' lives and monitor their social media. A bill that would ban most abortions in the state is one step closer to becoming law. If it goes into effect, abortions would not be allowed once a fetal heartbeat is detected. During a Senate committee hearing, the bill's sponsor, Senator Matt Caslin, brought several people to testify on behalf of the legislation, including a survivor of an abortion. A fetal heartbeat can be detected about 6 weeks into a woman's pregnancy. Several states are considering bills like this one in an effort to challenge Roe v. Wade.
Circumstances do occur under which women feel that they need to terminate their pregnancies, and history has shown that they will do so whether it's legal or not.
Now, the bill did pass out.
The bill passed the full state Senate. It now moves to the House. Well, a Kentucky Senate bill that would cut credit given to people using solar energy is on its way to the House floor after being approved. The bill would change the practice in place for the past decade known as net metering, in which utility customers with solar panels on their homes or businesses are credited at a 1-to-1 rate for any power they generate beyond what they need. Senate Bill 100 was approved by a vote of 10-4 by the House Natural Resources and Energy Committee. It could be passed into law as soon as this morning. Well, students in Johnson County will be back in class today after having Valentine's Day off while officials investigated a threat. The threat, which started circulating late last week, was directed at students at Johnson Central High School. Officials say while they discovered they were not credible, they canceled classes on Thursday out of an abundance of caution.
My initial reaction was concern, of course, the concern for the kids and the faculty here at Johnson Central. Of course, that is always our utmost concern, is our future.
Now again, classes are expected to be back in session today in Johnson County. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we talk to a couple that has spent most of their lives together to get the secret to a successful relationship.
We're tracking the possibility of some wintry mess as we head into the weekend. I'll have the latest forecast in about 5 minutes.